How you doing, everybody? Welcome to another Japan travel update. This is for we lost Okapi. This is for June 2021. I wanted to say welcome and thank you so much. For the last year, I've been giving these updates, going all the way back to January 2020 when this pandemic started, to try to help people plan their trips to Japan for the future. And it's been really challenging. I don't think a lot of us thought that this would go on this long, but here we are, June 2021, and this is the update. I believe it's June 10th today, right now. I do have a new haircut. Apologies, it was shorter than I expected. Let's get right into it. So a lot of things have happened over the last month. The vaccine rollout has really picked up, and this is a great thing for everybody who's thinking of coming here to Japan in the fall, because if we can hit that target of 1 million shots per day, which is what Prime Minister Suga is aiming for, then we're going to peak in the city of Tokyo with this pandemic in the third week of August. If we can get to 1 million jabs per month. If we can't, and we stay at around 600,000, then we peak in the middle of October, which is very different situation. So if you're hoping to come here to Japan, let's give Prime Minister Suga all the support that he needs to get that job done. So then if everybody feels safe here in Japan, tourism here will start right away. Todd Smith writes in here, why was Japan so slow in the vaccine rollout? There's a couple of reasons. Number one, I've been over this just a couple of days ago. I was at the large-scale vaccination center in Otemachi. I was kind of curious, wanted to go there to take a look at it, to get a better understanding before I did this travel update. That area is very, very busy. First of all, they're giving 10,000 inoculations per day to people over the age of 65 that have inoculation cards that have made a reservation. They're being bused from Tokyo Station to the site, which is about a 1.5 kilometer walk, with the yellow Hato buses, which are not in operation because there are no tourists here to take those buses. So I think it's a really great coordination between private businesses and local government to not just give jobs to those bus drivers and to that company, a contract, but also to get people to the site, and it's working. They're getting close to, or I believe exceeding, depending on the day, those 10,000 shots. They're very busy inside, and it's working like clockwork. This is just one of a few large-scale vaccination sites. There's another one in Yoyogi Park that's being built, changing from a large-scale live viewing area to a vaccination center because there aren't going to be any international tourists to be outside enjoying the live streaming. So they're turning that into mass-scale vaccinations, which is probably good. If they could do 10,000 more shots a day, I think Prime Minister Suga might be closer to his goals. Universities and workplaces will start their vaccinations. I think the date was June 23rd or June 24th. Universities and workplaces will start to vaccinate their people there. Again, starting with people 65 and older. So I think if they can have these large-scale places like they did in the United States with stadiums and drive-through vaccinations, Japan can get to where the US was a few months ago, which was 1 million or 2 million shots per day, therefore speeding up exponentially the time that this country peaks. Thus, I think by autumn of 2021, we should be able to return to tourism again. I don't know what it's going to look like, but maybe by the end of this live stream, you will have an idea. Yes, this is a live stream. There is a chat here. So everybody who's watching, you can write in your comments and discuss. We also have a Discord server that has resources for this pandemic and travel to Japan. You can take a look on there, as well as ask questions if you're thinking about traveling in the fall or even in 2022. We have about 13,000 people on the Discord server, a community that is not just here in Japan, but also all over the world that's trying to get visas and to travel into the country. It's a nice resource for you, and I'm happy that we have it. Moderators will share that Discord server right here. But it's discord.gg/only in Japan is the link, free invitation to anybody and everybody. So it's been pretty good news on the vaccination front here. I was not impressed with the rollout. They started vaccinating in February, and I've been tracking this all the way up to about the middle of May that's when things started to ramp up and it started to look promising. The reason why it took so long is there's just not enough professionals to give the shots. Japan has a shrinking population. The population of people that are doctors and nurses is very small. It's not enough. So the people that need to keep existing services rolling, doctors who are doing cancer treatment, doctors that are doing surgeries, emergency room doctors, they got to stay in their jobs because there's still stuff happening. The state of emergency that was extended in Tokyo to June 20th. Right now we are in a state of emergency. Another reason why I can't bring you too much content from the road, unfortunately, until the June 20th. This is keeping people home. Thus, there's not a huge need for emergency room doctors. There's not enough traffic accidents and things like this. They're way down because more people are staying at home. It's not so crowded out there. The numbers have been pretty good in Japan. This is a promising sign because it just means that the state of emergency is working. What is a state of emergency? It's not a lockdown. I've explained this in past updates. It's basically just an appeal from politicians to keep people home. And it works because those that break it are usually shamed. And that's sometimes guilt is more powerful than penalties, because you could be super rich. If you're shamed, there's no coming back from that. So people tend to follow the rules. It's been working pretty good. Tony P writes in here, thank you for keeping us updated. John, we all really appreciate it. Hope all is well with you and your family. Everybody's doing well, and Leo is getting his afternoon milk and then nap. Kanai's doing well as well. I'm doing good too. So let's get right to it about the state of emergencies. There's a state of emergency. What is this? State of emergency. It's supposed to be flashing lights, but this meme will now be something else on the internet. Sometimes it doesn't work out so well. So this comes from Kyoto News up there. People on 2K2 could very well have been. Hokkaido is in an emergency declared. Tohoku is not. Their numbers are pretty good. And then places around Kanto, which is around Tokyo here, Gunma, Tochigi, looks like Gunma, Saitama, Kanagawa, and Chiba are under quasi-emergencies designated. So they have some of the rules, but not all of them. Tokyo has all of them because the situation is not so good here in Tokyo. Ishikawa, which is where Kanazawa is, this is in the Chubu area, the center there. There's Aichiken in the red, and that looks like Gifu and Mie. And then we have here the Kansai region is under a state of emergency. They had the one of the variants that has been listed as the UK variant. I know that's where it came from. It's not, don't get me wrong, but the Japanese news still uses UK variant, so I apologize to those in the UK. And we have Fukuoka in the red there, and Kumamoto, which is in a quasi, and then Okinawa is still in a state of emergency. So that's kind of the situation here. But a lot of the country is doing okay with numbers. Okinawa is still classified as red. Yeah. So that just gives you an overview. But this quasi-state of emergency is ending for 3 prefectures after this weekend. Actually, Thursday, they decided to... Is that today? Is today Thursday? It is. Whoa. So today they decided to lift the quasi-state of emergency in 3 of the prefectures. Can you guess what they are? No. Gunma, Ishikawa, and Kumamoto, which I showed you on the map. Kumamoto is near Fukuoka, down in Kyushu. Ishikawa is Kanazawa, which is on the Sea of Japan side. And Gunma is that one prefecture in the center of Japan, in the Tokyo's Kanto region. That's going to be lifted. What does that mean? That means that restaurants serving alcohol, requiring them to close by 8 p.m., as well as attendance caps on 5,000 people attending, are going to be lifted, meaning you can hold bigger events and you can start to drink some booze again. I got a feeling there's going to be some parties in these places. So be careful if you are in these areas. Don't take this for granted, okay? Don't ruin it for everybody. I love Gunma too. Gunma's really cool. Takaragawa Onsen in Minakami, which is in Gunma Prefecture, is one of my favorite places. And Maebashi is a pretty roaring town. Hey, MJ's here. Wishing you and your family well. Hope that mail. I know. I still got MJ. I got like a year and a half of postcards. You're going to have a barrage of beauty hitting your mailbox, my friend. Thanks so much for that. I appreciate it. So I can't wait to see you again back in Japan. And Irvin's here. I hope Map Camera is open for tourists in October. Map Camera is going to be fine in Shinjuku. They got some good stuff in there. It's probably the best place to buy cameras in Japan, especially used stuff. Oh, we got another one here. Thank you so much. Thanks for providing content. Still in state of emergency, John. Hope travel does open up during the fall, winter. I finally get to meet you. Missed an opportunity twice. Really? That's Vintendo. Yeah, I got those You Found Me cars. It'd be nice to say hi to everybody and not have to run away when somebody chases me and saying, hey, John. And I go, who are you? And I run away. That's not going to happen once we get vaccinated. Hopefully this will come soon, which is going to be really, really soon. The next thing on my list of news is Prime Minister Suga vows to finish vaccinating Japan's population by November. This is from yesterday. So, like, I wanted to do this update last week, but I knew there was going to be a barrage of news this week, and I waited, and we're rewarded with a lot of information. Now, Prime Minister Suga, who took over for Prime Minister Abe last year, has had a really tough time, and it's not easy to come, take over for a prime minister that had been in office for a very long time in the middle of a pandemic right before the Olympics. So I have to give credit to Prime Minister Suga. I think he's handling himself the best that he possibly can. I'm not a political person. I just want to encourage him to do the best that he can because he's the one in power, and I will always take the high road with this. It's been really tough, though. It's been tough, and the criticism has been warranted as well. But he has made a pledge to get everybody vaccinated by October or November, which means I think October, if he can get ramped up the production, that means kids and families, people under the age of 18 will be getting those shots later on in the fall. Probably at my age, I was talking to other people in their mid-40s, and they said, yeah, it looks like we'll probably be able to get the vaccines in August, with a chance in maybe September, and maybe Kanai will also get hers in September too. We're not sure, but that seems to be where we're at right now. Currently, if you take a look at the live stream from yesterday, which was at the, or was it 2 days ago? 2 days ago at the Mass Vaccination Center in Otemachi, you get a chance to see what this looks like with all the old people being bussed in. It's kind of it's a really interesting sight to see how Japan was so chaotic with this vaccination rollout, and now has got their stuff together, and it's just purring right now. It looks like it's very well organized. And during the live stream, a viewer who was working inside came out to say hello, and I asked her if she was really busy inside, and she goes, yeah, really busy inside. It's being run by the Japan Self-Defense Force because there are not enough doctors and nurses and dentists, which have now been knighted to give inoculations of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, which are approved here. So this is good news to have the Prime Minister say that he'll vaccinate the population by November. That means that it looks like we're going to be the worst that the worst that I think the situation will be. How do I say this? I think things will be over by October for us. It's not over, but we'll be in a better place in October for sure. But if the Prime Minister can ramp up vaccines to 1 million per day, it'll be a lot sooner. So again, I'm really rooting for this. More than 40 million shots will be administered by the end of June, ahead of the Tokyo Olympics. 40 million shots will be administered. Most of them will be the first shots of the Pfizer vaccine, which was the one that was approved for use here. That's the only one, I believe. Maybe Moderna has been approved too, but the other ones are waiting approval from Japan. Japan's process is a lot longer. This is another reason why the vaccines were delayed. Japan wanted internal tests of the Pfizer vaccine before approving it. This delayed the vaccine by 2 months. And, it could be a good thing if you find something wrong with it, but they wouldn't accept the international tests, and maybe we're going to be safer from it. I don't know, but that's just a situation. Bradsoe Studio, thank you. Thank you very much. Very cool, Beans. Yeah. So if these vaccines can roll out, then I'm gonna put my crystal ball down and break it, because I don't want to do these kinds of episodes anymore, because I want good news. I'm guessing I'm going to stay on target and say October we're going to start to see tourism open up after the Paralympics. And I think it's going to be with an asterisk mark, and tourism will ramp up. Japan is a very cautious country that doesn't like to take risks. So I'm guessing tourism package tours will open up. There'll be tours that include quarantining for a certain amount of period. I think there will be some quarantining despite the fact that you might have been vaccinated with both doses. There's a chance that even if you have, like, I'm just going by things that people have heard here in Japan that they're trying to confirm. If even with the vaccine you can still get sick, but it depends on the variant, and also some people might need booster shots. So there's a lot of things that are right now being debated with the reopening of tourism, because the population is not behind the Olympics, is not behind opening up the borders to tourism, because there's a lot of unknown and risks, and the country is just not vaccinated yet. But this is really good news to see that the Prime Minister has made a pledge. Japan has a population of 126 million. To date, 4% have been fully inoculated. That means both shots, but the pace is picking up. Nearly 60% of the respondents to a poll said that they want the Olympics to be postponed. And stay tuned to the end as I give you my final opinion on this. All right, it's still it's a heated debate, and if you turn on the news, you'll see over and over again what how people feel about the Olympics on the news. It's tough. Albert writes in here, we have enjoyed your videos for over a year. Thanks for all the great content. It is very informative and entertaining. Best wishes to you and your family. We hope to be there in April 2022, and I will be here too, Albert. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this cherry blossoms next year. It's going to be so much more exciting when the situation is better. So there you go with the vaccinations. It's good news. The Prime Minister was also asked, this is the last one on this one, I'm going to move on to vaccine passports. Prime Minister was asked if he had considered these vaccine passports, and wouldn't this be a nice time to announce that? And he said that they're highly considering this at the moment. So the official stand right now with the Japanese government, despite all the news reports, as of yesterday, and I don't think it's changed, Japan is still considering vaccine passports. They haven't decided which system to go to. They're analyzing this, so there's nothing that has been determined. So will you need them for travel? I don't know, and neither does the government yet. So stay tuned. I think by July's travel update, we'll have a much clearer image of if you need one of these passports and how to get it as well. What do you need in order to register? Maybe each country will have a registration online or something like this. I don't know. So we're going to figure this out. Ramsey Silent writes in here, I wanted to go in October, but having missed the date changed 3 times on my going, I'm now planning on April, May. Probably wise. I think by then we'll be much closer to the way things used to be, despite there probably will be some protocols in place even next year. This comes from the Japan Times from yesterday. Japan eyes issuing vaccine passport from this summer. So this came from the same meeting where the Prime Minister was questioned about the Olympics and the inoculations and his goal of getting everybody vaccinated by October. Japan Times released this. The Japanese government is considering issuing certificates from this summer, starting this summer, to coronavirus vaccine recipients that would assist them with overseas travel. So Japan understands that people want to travel internationally again, as well as come here. They're considering, that's what this article says, and this is based on the heels of what Prime Minister Suga said yesterday to reporters. Japan Times does some pretty good reporting. It's getting better. I know about 20 years ago it wasn't quite as internationally reputable with a lot of spelling errors and stuff like that, but Japan Times has gotten a heck of a lot better. With a growing number of countries checking visitor inoculation records as a border control measure, the vaccine passport, in quotes, is expected to facilitate business travel. Japan very much wants to get business travel back on track, especially Japanese businessmen who want to travel abroad. Chief Cabinet Secretary Kato-san said that he's heading the preparation team. So Kato-san is doing it, Kato Katsunobu. A preparation team comprised of foreign and health ministry officials are looking into the issue. The vaccine passport will initially be a paper certificate, so it's not going to be on like a smartphone. Initially, Japan Times is saying it's going to be a paper certificate, which makes sense for Japan because we're very paper-based. Japan loves paper. Cash is still pretty big here. I go to the ATM to get cash. It's kind of cool to hold paper coin. Like like my friends in the U.S., so they just touch for payment and everything. In Japan, we still use a lot of cash. Tigrahov, sorry if you've said it before, but do Japanese travel hotels, places have kitchenettes? That's a good question, Tig. Let's say the biggest chain of business hotels right now might be Toyoko Inn and Appa Hotel. They have laundry machines in all of the business hotels. Usually if it's like 5,000 to 8,000 yen for a room at a business hotel, you'll have amenities like a kitchenette, but inside of the room, that is something you'd probably want to search for. I don't see kitchenettes inside of the room like hot pots and things like this. There's something called weekly mansions that you might want to look into. If you search on weekly mansions, this is something that they've had in Japan for decades. They come with a kitchen. It's basically an apartment that you could rent by week, and it's essentially like Airbnb. The weekly mansions still do okay because they have contracts with business to business stuff, but you might want to just look into an Airbnb then if you want a kitchen in there. Tasty Chronicles writes in here, what is Japan's game plan to vax the homeless? You know what? If they're over the age of 65, they're eligible to go in and get vaccinated right now. If they don't have an address or they don't get a card, they can walk into the vaccine center. And I'm trying to get the information on waiting times. Like if there's a cancellation, people can just jump right in and get the vaccine. I don't know what the plan is. It hasn't been publicized yet, and I think that's going to be something that Japan has to address. Thanks for bringing that up, and I'm sure if somebody's watching in the Japanese government, let's not remember the people that don't have addresses that can't get those vaccination cards. Let's see if we can try to vaccinate them. Thank you, Tasty. And I feel weird calling you Tasty. These vaccination passports will be paper-based and mostly for business travelers, because business travel will open up before tourism, which is the way that the world works, fairly or not. If the government decides to issue the certificate, it would then negotiate with other countries on whether Japanese nationals with certificates would be exempt from quarantine after entry, on how Japan would treat visitors with similar certificates. So it's going to be a country-to-country situation, not an app maker, but Japan, the country of Japan, is trying to look for their own way to do this. So this is kind of an interesting note, because I know that technology is probably the way to go with apps and stuff, but apps can be tampered with, and there's some risk to that, especially with different variants now popping up. The variant from India, again, this is where it's from, I don't know the code number, is in the news now, and there was a cluster found in a school of people infected with the variant from India. How it got here, we don't know. If there are no tourists coming here and there's no business travelers coming here, I'm not sure how it got in. I just think somebody was allowed in. So somebody's traveling here. There's somebody. Returnees, I don't know. But that variant is here, and it's causing a minor stir at the moment because it's just a minor amount of people with it. If the government decides to issue these certificates, right, they'll negotiate with the other people. We will hold more discussions to respond well to moves overseas. So I think Japan has their option, and then they're looking at and seeing what's happening overseas. If the United States, which is usually the leader in this kind of stuff, has a way for tourists, like a unified way for tourists to be able to show, and the airlines, which are leaders here, require their own, then I believe the government of Japan will accept that as a way in, because they usually follow what the US does. Usually. Eventually. Because we're partners, and I almost said in crime, but we're allies. The United States lowered the Japan travel advisory to level 3, which they raised to level 4 like 2 weeks ago. So it was like this. So it went up and down really quickly. Level 3 means to take great precaution. It went from the highest, level 4 is do not travel, to level 3, which is you can travel but take great precautions. And this follows the update from the CDC, which lowered the level for Japan on Monday as well, from 4 to 3. I think this has to do with the vaccine rollout and the state of emergency in highly populated areas like Tokyo, Osaka, Fukuoka, Okinawa, and Hokkaido, which had major outbreaks. It's working, the state of emergency. So the numbers, I think it was somewhere like 300 people were infected in the entire city of Tokyo, which is got a population of tens of millions, right? It's a very highly populated and dense city. So the numbers are stabilizing around 300 a day, but that's from the state of emergency. Once we lift it, it's going to spike up again if the vaccinations are not rolling out. I don't know if they're going to extend the state of emergency beyond the 20th. My guess is no, because it looks like we're keeping the numbers under the 20th. However, with variants being introduced into Tokyo that are more contagious, this is something that Governor Koike is certainly looking at and considering. She still has 10 days to make judgment on whether or not to extend the state of emergency, even for another week. It's possible that that happens, so vaccines can, more people can get those vaccines. So that's good news that the U.S. finally lowers it to level 3. But they're still urging Americans not to travel yet. Japan's key electronics shows. This is very important too to get an idea of where Japan will be in October. Look to the conventions. Look to the shows. Tokyo Game Show. There's a combined exhibition of advanced technologies called, was it CEATEC or CEATEC? That's a huge convention. It's scheduled from October 19th to 2022. This year's theme is Towards Society 5.0 with the New Normal. Has been moved to online again. All right, so this is very important because it shows you that the organizers don't have confidence that people will be allowed in to make the same kind of spark that they had 2 years ago. So they're going to do it online. I guess the costs are very great to hold a physical convention. Unless you have people at the event, it doesn't make sense to hold it because it's just losing more money. So they're going online again in October because the situation is wishy-washy. We're just not sure. This decision was made ahead of Prime Minister Suga saying that people will be vaccinated by October. So I don't think they're going to change their mind on this. Will the Olympics be held? All right. Before I get into the Olympics, which is, look, it's important, and I've had my ear to the ground and listening to this. I put a link in the description of this video. All right. This is the phased measures for resuming cross-border travel. This comes from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This is a printout from here. There's the link up there in the top right. The link is in the description of this video, as well as the link to my new Only in Japan channel. Go there and subscribe if you haven't already. It lists out what you need to do to get into Japan. It was updated June 1st, 10 days ago. So there is a, Michael, you did get a shout out right now. It was updated June 1st, so this is good news that they are updating it. Thomas from the UK, I want to shout out Thomas, who's a Patreon supporter. Thomas got his student visa to come to Japan finally after waiting a very long time. So for those of you with student visas, please take note. Thomas is coming to Okayama, and he is excited, and I'm excited for him too. And I hope to catch up with Thomas down there. But I've been keeping in touch with a lot of Patreon supporters and a lot of people who have student visas or just can't get into Japan. They are processing them now. And in the UK, since Thomas got his visa, we can check that box and say that they are coming in. I still can't get my student visa. If you have applied and you have the COE certificate, certificate of eligibility and everything, all the paperwork is in, and you've resubmitted it, then it will probably just take a little bit of time before that they will approve it. I think it took several months for Thomas to get his through, and he wanted to be here a lot sooner. But he did get it. So now I know that they are issuing student visas. It's just going to take time, and I hope that those of you who have a visa for work, and you can get here in the country. I know that Japan has been extremely strict with this, but with the vaccines now coming out, and the situation coming down, the waves that were worse than the worst time last year in the midst of the pandemic in 2020, 2021 was way worse in Japan. So those numbers from last year were bad, but this year was worse. So this was not the time to come to Japan a couple of months ago. Now it's starting to subside and it's starting to get better. Summer is here, better weather. So those visas are going to be processed a little bit quicker, and I have a feeling they're going to pick up the pace. There's a Twitter group. If the Twitter group founder is watching, you can leave a message right here. But there's a lot of people waiting for those visas, and I know that they're getting processed now because I finally get confirmation from somebody who's been waiting a very long time that they got theirs. So just a little bit of good news for students out there waiting for it. If they rejected your visa, and please call the embassy or consulate and ask if you can resubmit it. Call the university or the school or the workplace to have that certification maybe sent back to you and faxed to the government, and start that process over again. It just seems like now it's starting to work a lot faster. I hope that sends a little bit of good news. Does Mastercard work? I don't know. I got Amex and Visa. I don't use Mastercard actually. Does anybody use JCB, Japan Credit Bureau? I always wondered, like somebody's got to use it. Wow. So I got a ton of news here. So a lot of it, the rest of it is regarding the Olympics, which is a pretty interesting. I might read this at the end too. The stages needed right now to enter Japan. That might be interesting for the historical record of this. But the rest of the news is basically on the Olympics. Discover works, by the way. The Discover card is being accepted by the Tokyo Mitsubishi, the Mitsubishi UFJ banks accept Discover card, but they don't accept Visa and Mastercard. Very weird. I don't know how Discover did it. I think that was like a Sears Robux company. It's a little monetary finance news. All right. The Olympics, will they take place? It's yes until they say no. However, 10,000 volunteers quit their volunteer duties last month. A lot of them were volunteers for foreign tourists, so they weren't really needed that much anyways. So I guess it's the Japan Olympic Committee was quite concerned anyways that a mass percentage of the people who were volunteering quit. If more volunteers quit, then they might have to take measures and cancel, but 70 of 80,000 are still in on it. And then there were other volunteers in the city of Tokyo that left. But because of the decrease in the amount of people coming and the amount of diplomatic assistance like friends of friends or lobbyists who can come in with politicians has been decreased as well. So that means that there not as many assistance volunteers are needed for the Olympics anyways. So, but it's still concerning news to have 10,000 volunteers quit. The end result was now the Olympics committee is thinking of mulling over the idea of vaccinating all 70,000 game volunteers ahead of the Olympics. They do have mass vaccination sites. Tsukiji Market, which is now gone. It's going to be a parking lot starting in August. That's a mass vaccination site right now. That might be where the volunteers go to get their vaccinations, and in a week they would be able to vaccinate all 70,000 of these people, thus alleviating their fears of getting sick and keeping them. If more migration, like people cancel, I have a feeling they're going to initiate this, because without them, you can't run the Olympics without volunteers helping to facilitate a lot of stuff here. All right, unless you have robots. And I would not underestimate Japan's robot ability. All right, it's possible. It's very possible. The Olympic body says visitors will not be tracked real time by GPS. This is something that people were freaking out. All right, first of all, when you travel abroad, you're no longer at the laws of the United States or wherever you're from. You now have to adhere to the laws of the country you're in. Right? Keep that in mind. So your freedoms of the, like Bill of Rights and all this, it doesn't work here. you're under Japan law. If you get arrested, you're, you know, what is it, up that creek? It's Duty Creek, okay? Done. So don't get in trouble here. But you don't know what the laws are. So one of the things that they were doing is using GPS, and I have this on my telephone. Let me see if I can show you the app here. This is a COVID tracing app I have installed on my phone. I've used this for 194 days. All right. I can check if I've been in close contact with people. This is from the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare. And this uses my data to track where I am, but it's not used to track where I am on a map or anything, just in case I'm in close contact with somebody else or in a cluster of people. And that app does not track users by GPS. Right, so you have to self-report. Thank you for the information. You have to self-report if you have a positive result. Then the app, I guess by somehow finding out where you were, not by GPS, will notify you that you were in close contact with somebody who has been infected. So you might want to get tested yourself or quarantine. It's a useful app. I think this is a way to contact trace from the government. It doesn't use GPS, and they're asking people Bluetooth. They're asking people to install this on their phones, you know, again, it just alleviates a little bit of risk. And if you can notify people that they were in contact with somebody in a super spreader's environment, I think that's a pretty good idea. So it works. I can check my close contacts, and I'm okay. All right, so I'm good. For those visiting Japan and during the Olympics, they're probably going to ask people to install apps like Line or Skype so that they can keep in touch with you and let you know if you've been in contact or if a situation arises. They want to have you all connected while you're here. This is something they may initiate in October when tourism does continue. It's kind of interesting to see how they respond with the Olympic athletes coming. Some of these procedures may carry over into tourism in October. So let's keep that in mind. But Muto Toshio-san told reporters, I believe he's, let me see who exactly he is, part of the committee here, the CEO, told reporters that everyone entering Japan from abroad, including athletes, officials, and media members, will be required to submit plans of their first 14 days in the country and turn on GPS functions on their smartphone. This is what he said. If we have to monitor the movements all the time, it would require manpower. When there are problems, I think it's important to have the GPS function to allow visitors to make sure they did not do anything wrong. All right. He said use of the system already agreed on by the Olympic officials around the world will allow the organizers to confirm afterwards that the visitors followed the plans they submitted. They want confirmation. It does feel like a little bit of a house arrest. It is not using real-time GPS, all right? So, like, I'm not actually sure how this works, but battery ran out, can't use GPS. All right, stop right there. Those that do enter in Japan, including returnees, have to do a 14-day quarantine. One of the things that is mandatory is that they install this GPS app so that they can, as well as a way to get in contact. They want the GPS app to make sure that you don't leave. All right. This is true. This is what I've heard from somebody who returned to the country. So they have a GPS app to make sure that you're not leaving your house or your quarantining. Now, you might think that you could leave your phone behind, right? Just leave it in your house and just leave, because then if they're tracing your phone, just leave it there, right? But they will randomly call you on the social media phone number that you give, and if you're not there, you're in big duty trouble, all right? So you have to be, they will check up on you to make sure you're really quarantining. If not, you will be fined and shamed. This is apparently where we're at with this, to make sure, because too many people have broken protocol. The honor system did not work with a lot of people. Duh. So that's what we got. Nosh abroad. What will come from the 1,000 yen departure tax? Wasn't it meant to help pay for tourism security? Yeah, the games with travel restrictions, it can't have made enough money. Will they remove it? I hope so. There's a $10 tax on departures. I believe that they've revamped the technology. Now you can exit and enter Japan a little bit quicker because of the technology. I can confirm they have it because I saw it when I was traveling in 2020, and when I came back at the end of 2019. No, yeah, 2019. Did I return in 2020? I did see at the international arrivals that they had initiated this new high-tech security stuff for re-entry and things like this. So it did speed up the process. I don't know, but a tax seems to be forever. I don't think they're collecting much now. Anyways, yeah, $10. That's a cup of coffee or 2 beers or something. Okay, that's significant to me, to most people. So there's that, the GPS. Japan is a place where you are quickly criticized. Japanese viewers, and I'm saying this from a place of deep affection for all of my viewers in Japan, are the most critical, especially when they're anonymous. And Japanese viewers can be downright bullies and very tough, all right? I just on the last video, despite the fact that I said Peter and I were riding on a private train, right? And we were PCR tested and had to give our we had to do a lot in order to go maskless on the Shinkansen, which was private Shinkansen, a Kashikiri Shinkansen. We still have Japanese users who didn't understand that and had to criticize me and be armchair detectives to try to figure out, this guy's not wearing a mask on the Shinkansen, how dare he? It was our Shinkansen, right? We could do that. But Japanese are very critical of each other too. So Japanese social media is it stings, all right? You will be attacked hard, and it's worse here. And a lot of the Olympians on the Japanese team are feeling it. It's a situation of, hey, Wasim's here. But I guess if they open up in November, they will open up for students first and businessmen no. I'm gonna guess that students, if you have a visa, you're going to be allowed in starting now. I think that they're processing it. It's just slower. All right. I can address questions through the live chat at the end of this, which is in about 5 minutes. I think I'll finish up the Olympics here. Japanese Olympians are under a great amount of stress, and I feel for them. They are damned if they do and damned if they don't. I can say that because it's an expression. It's not a bad word. Look, they can jump in line and get vaccinated, all right? Because the Olympic Committee and Pfizer are working together to vaccinate all the Olympians. But line jumpers in Japan are, what is the word, castricized. They are completely criticized and shamed, all right? If you cut in line or break a rule, all right? You feel it. So these Olympians who have social media as well are feeling it. Now, the Olympic Committee is telling him, and I'm talking about the handball captain. I won't use his name, but he was in an article recently saying that he felt it, and he wanted to tell the handball team not to get vaccinated because those vaccines could be used to save the lives of someone 65 or older. He understands how social media works. He understands his responsibilities as well. As a good person, so he's under pressure. But the Olympic Committee is saying to him, like, you got to get vaccinated. These vaccines are already designated for you. If you don't use them, you just are putting people at risk by being an Olympic athlete. So he is kind of in this position where he's between a rock and a hard place. He doesn't want to jump in line. Maybe he does secretly, I don't know. But I mean, by doing that, he feels guilt because he knows that there are people who are probably more in need of that vaccine than he is as an Olympian. However, as a representative of the country and the situation where the Olympic Committee is vaccinating athletes, this 31-year-old is going to get that Pfizer vaccine. So 40 doses for the handball team. And the handball team is apparently getting criticized on social media for this. So I don't know. It's just like a conundrum for the Olympic athletes. And look, it's a couple thousand vaccines. They're probably going to get vaccinated anyways. Um, Rock in a hard place. I'm not one of those people that are going to criticize them. You know, shame on you, jumpers. Look, I'm not going to criticize Olympic athletes. If they've been allotted for them, they train pretty hard. They're going to give us some entertainment this summer. I don't know. It's just, I'm going to take the positive point of view here. Look, the situation hasn't changed. Foreign visitors are not coming July and August. The games are still going to be held. The state of emergency is going to be ending on June 20th as of today. Vaccinations will be finished for the Japanese population by October, November, according to the Prime Minister. This will be updated again next month. I'll give you another update. Japan is now closed to foreign tourism. Will reopen in the future. We're not sure when. So that's exactly where we are right now in June 2021. Japan is closed to foreign tourism. We don't know when. It looks like October. Could be sooner. Just depends on how fast the vaccinations go and how safe the general public thinks we are. I had a couple of other things here. This is from another website. I'll put the link in the description of things that you'll need to enter Japan. I was thinking about going back to the United States, and there was another YouTuber who went back to the US to get vaccinated, or a couple of people that did this. You do need to get PCR tested. You do need to do a 14-day quarantine. You do need to have paperwork. To come into Japan, they ask you to install a line messaging app. The Japanese government websites are quite confusing, so it would be a good idea if you do travel to Japan now, or you do have a COE or a student visa and you did get in, call the embassy and make sure you have the latest information a few days before you leave, because this information changes pretty quickly. The link to the government site is in this video. Check that out before you go. It was updated June 1st, for those that are wondering. If worst comes to worst, you want to be sure that your travel insurance policy is up to date. Make sure you travel with travel insurance if you're traveling this year anywhere outside of the United States or in any country outside of your home country. Get travel insurance. Just get it, because you don't know what the situation is going to be when you get to that country. The parliament could have decided to ban you while you're in the flight on the airplane, and getting back could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. I don't know. Depends. So you might want to seriously consider getting that. That's all I got for this travel update. It was pretty interesting. If you do like the travel updates, click that thumbs up button. I do respond to your likes as an indication you do appreciate this content. So I've been doing them once a month ever since. Yeah, Tabby Eats could go back to Hawaii for the shot. A lot of my friends could. We have a baby, and Kanai is Japanese. I'm American. We thought about going to Guam. Guam has a vaccination, an Airbnb, air vacation and vaccination, I believe is what it is. But it requires too much time. So we're just going to wait it out here and get the vaccine as the rest of the Japanese public will. I haven't left Japan since 2019. So I've been here the whole time. Yeah, I miss people back home. I miss being able to travel. It's really hard, but that's where we are. But a lot of friends are going back to the United States to get things done. We do that travel insurance. There's some travel insurance links on the JNTO COVID site, and I'll put that link in this description as well. They have some. You can also get travel insurance upon arrival in Japan, but you might want to have it before you leave, just in case. You might not be able to even enter the airport to get that insurance. Who knows? What is considered essential services in Japan? NPC. I don't even know what essential service means anymore. What do you mean by that? There's, I'm not sure what that is referring to. The visas coming in here. If you have an employer, you can get in here. Teachers were considered essential services. So a lot of the people watching were English teachers. You're considered essential. Why can't you go to the USA? Because I have to do 14 days quarantine there and 14 days quarantine here, and with a 3-month-old son, it's just really hard to do that. And I got stuff that I have to do. I have work commitments to be here. So it's not something that I can do. I'd love to. That's 28 days a month. That's basically a month sitting inside at home for quarantining. I think that this will change over the next month as the vaccines start rolling out. I think that the US will change as the population gets safer. Maybe it's not 14 days, but it's 6 days with PCR testing on arrival and PCR testing after 6 days. Who knows? But I think the 14-day quarantine might be a little bit much. But Japan is always going to err on the side of risk-free. If they can alleviate risk, they're going to do it. So 14-day isolation is in place. Variants take up to 21 days to show up as well. So there you go with that. I don't know how the variants are going. I just know that it's takes a long time. But if the most of the population is vaccinated, I think that that gets rid of the risk, at least in the eyes of tourism. I don't know. If you pre-test before coming here, you don't need to be quarantined. I think it also comes with the Japan side. Coming back, you definitely need to be quarantined, and the rules are still in place. I'm not sure. I think the last time I checked, coming from Japan, you needed to have a 14-day quarantine in the U.S. Again, this all changes pretty quickly. Carl writes in here, I read essential services meant something substantial would be canceled without your presence. A lot of English schools would have to cancel or close the school if foreign English teachers were not replaced by outbound teachers. Scotty H writes in here, thanks for all your hard work and great information. This too shall pass. And will. This will. We're all pretty much more optimistic now than we were just a few months ago. So I'm pretty optimistic yesterday, after 2 days ago, seeing the mass vaccination site, and I probably will take you to Tsukiji Market to get a look. Here's the craft peach tea that I bought at Akihabara. I did not want it. We'll go take a look at the mass vaccination site over in Tsukiji and see how that's working. And there's a couple of other mass vaccination sites, including Yoyogi Park. I might return there and check it out. From Singapore, Jen, how you doing? Thank you, John, for all the updates. I am awaiting to apply for a student visa in Hokkaido next year. I hope to visit Japan again soon and someday get a I found you card from you. I hope you do too. Here's something for you and your family. Thank you, Jen. Stay safe, John. You too, Jen. And I hope that you can get that student visa as quickly and painlessly as possible. I think by next year, I think by autumn, everything will be running very smoothly. And I know that the Japanese universities are hurting because they don't have those foreign students coming in. Hokkaido would be a lot of fun. But I would love to talk to you about your experience too after you've been in Hokkaido for a little bit. I've always thought about moving up there for a couple of months just to see how the lifestyle differs in Hokkaido than other areas of Japan. I know it is different. You need a car up there. Will you give... we will give you a we found you duck. Yes! Yes, I have about like 200 miniature ducks that I can also give you. I'm thinking about leaving those ducks in random areas during live streams for people to pick up too. I'm thinking about it, just like Japan's thinking about a vaccination card. For the next 7 minutes before we get to 1 hour, I'm taking your questions. You don't have to give a super chat. I'm looking at the stream right now. Which area of Tokyo are you not familiar with? Some of the islands I haven't been to, and the countryside near Okutama. I'm familiar with Okutama, but there's some small towns out there. I don't know. There's some places in Otaku I haven't visited yet, and I get around. I ride my bike a lot. I know the city quite well. There's places I don't know. What about western parts of Tokyo? Yeah, there's a lot of places out there, but there's hiking. I've done a lot of hiking out in Okutama and some of those areas out there in western Tokyo. So I've filmed 2 Tokyo Eye NHK World episodes out there where we drove around to all the attractions in western Tokyo a couple of times. I'm pretty sure I hit most of the big ones. So one of the good things with being part of the Tokyo Eye show on NHK. What animal is this stuffy thing in the background? Does someone want to tell Faisal what that is right there? Does anybody know? Faisal, the internet will tell you. I'm pretty sure he's very popular here. Joy writes in Okapi. Any updates for vaccinated tourists trying to get in? August, AUGGIS. Yeah, I'll just reiterate what I said a little bit earlier on here. That is not A5 Wagyu. Who wrote that? ACTNG, A5 Wagyu. How dare you? That is not a Wagyu, that's Okapi. And if you eat him, you'll have a mouthful of polyester or whatever he's stuffed with. I'll just reiterate right now, Japan is considering a vaccination card rollout. So that might be required to come in here. If you're an essential worker in the sense like they need you, then you will be able to come into Japan for your job or for a student visa. Thomas from the UK got in on a student visa. So just want to let you know that I know somebody who just got their visa. All right. For tourism, it's right now not possible to come here. You can check the JNTO COVID website. It has, I'll find it on my phone right now. They have been doing an excellent job, JNTO, the Japan National Tourism Organization, of giving you information of what tourist attractions are open and not open, and what nationalities need visas and not, and which visas have been canceled, and which countries can come here and not come here, and they're keeping you up to date with the situation based on travel. That is a site that I go to get a lot of my information that I pass along to you. JNTO is like I've been working with them for quite a while now, so you might want to check this out. Japan Endless Discoveries. You might have seen the Japan.travel. This is the travel restrictions. The table of contents are right here. Area subjected to entry ban. They have everything on this website that will help you find it, including the countries specifically that you're living in and your situation right now. Phased measures for resuming cross-border travel, which is on the government site. I shared this link in the description of this video already. Right? There's denial concerns. Like, all this information is in here on the JNTO website. So go check this out. And every month I at least go once to this website to get an idea of where we're at. So the JNTO and the JNTO Twitter is also good. And by the way, I got Twitter too. Twitter.com/onlyinjapantv is my Twitter handle. Send me a tweet. Let me know what you think of this. If you have any questions, you can tweet it to me, or you can use the Discord server. We have 13,000 strong. It's 12,600. It's 12,600, but I just rounded up. 13,000 strong in there. About 15 to 1,600 people online all the time that are there answering your questions and sharing information. Discord server has been pretty cool. Yeah, tweet me. I'm getting close to. I'm new to Twitter. If you tweet me, I will tweet you back. We'll have a Twitter battle. All right, you can just tweet me. I don't even know what that means. I have 8,000 Twitter followers. It's pretty weak for Japan-based YouTubers, but I like I've been doing more Twitter. I even got in a Twitter fight with another YouTuber that was settled amicably. You have to be careful with what you tweet. I got in a Twitter fight, but we're two guys that settled it amicably. It's all good. Any last questions? Hey, look, I got. Wait, TKH18269509 just followed me on Twitter. Boy, I just got the notification. How cool is that? What do you think of dependent visas? I'm currently living in Nagoya. What do you? Thank you. Roxia12 is following me. Oh, will they be allowed before tourists? Dependent visa. Oh, do you mean like? Hey, Andrew Land is following me on Twitter. Look I'm getting all these updates like crazy. Azide Vnom following you on Twitter. I don't know about the dependent. Is it John4400342? These Twitter handles are long. I think I'll get to 5,000 by the end of this. The Tono Poco. We don't need to have a meeting. We're all good. We worked it out. I think that like dependent visas, do you mean like a spouse visa? I think that those will be okay. But like if it's a new spouse visa, it's just gonna take some time to work through. It's hard for me to be able to. Wow, got another Twitter follower. How cool is that? Air to the Ron, always got your back. Thank you. Air to the Ron, by the way, your Aaron Buggy has been doing quite well. Daniel San just got a new Twitter follower named Daniel San. Reminds me of Cobra Kai. Nocturne, welcome. So I'm here to take your questions for the last minute here. Do you know if the Japanese government would accept new COEs during this time? I would assume that they would. If you have a COE from an employer, call the embassy and accept it. Your employer should know that because they have to do the footwork. So I believe that they do. If they're reissuing back visas right now, call your embassy and consulate. Each one might have different procedures and different policies based on the situation of that country. So I think it's going to be a lot harder for people in India to come to Japan because of how bad the situation is compared to the United States, which is well vaccinated, and might be easier to come in and get into the country at the moment. So it just follows according to the current situation. Does anybody tell you look like the Karate Kid? Does anybody want to respond to this person? What do you think? All right, and you know what? You know, Ralph Macchio can come here to Japan like he did for like 2 days to film Cobra Kai last season, but he got to face me. All right, if he really wants to come to Japan, he's got to face me. I'll take him on. Serious. That's serious eyes. Ralph. All right. You know what, Ralph? I don't even know if you're watching. Look, since 1984, and we're about the same age. I've been teased and teased, wax on, wax off. Oh, can you paint the fence? If someone is painting a fence, they'll like call me up and go, John, look what I'm doing. I'm painting a fence. Like, so what? Yeah, I had to face it, okay? I'm cool. Doesn't bother me at all. All right, King Wong, can't wait to get back to Japan. Postpone my trip for the 4th time. Ah, the king. How could you do not treat the king badly? Squaw MT Com is following you on Twitter. Whoa. Ralph is an old man, poor guy. Irvin, he's like my age, all right? He's like same as me. I think I'm doing okay. I have aged quite a bit over the last 10 years, but I think we all have aged. Can you catch a fly with chopsticks? Yeah, I can if it's dead on the ground. Hello. You have to put in the criteria while it's flying. It's lightweight. Wow, you're such a wealth of info and incredibly personable. You've got yourself a new virtual friend. Joel Valez, thank you. I like virtual friendships. John is the Karate Kid, but in cartoon version. What? No, I am very real. Ouch. My chef is going to Japan for the Olympics to help. He's excited. That's actually a pretty cool story. If your chef would like to talk with me about it digitally, that'd be pretty cool. Send me an email. Only in Japan TV. I got a contact form on the website. Send me a message, and if he has some time, I'd love to hear about his experience cooking at the Olympic Village, and I'll put him on the show through a studio live stream. That'd be pretty cool. That would be a lot of fun, right? That'd be a lot of fun. All right, folks, it looks like we're out of the questions here. Now you're just teasing me. I don't want to stay around for this. Does Japan have provisions for those of us with religious exceptions from the vaccine? I would say no. I'm not sure. I think that would work inside of the U.S., but look, Japan has Japanese law, so they adhere to their own laws, and I don't think they're going to have a provision for that. I think it's just going to be something that will be very difficult until there's mass huge. I can't say for sure what the possibilities are. Contact the embassy or consulates. It's a valid question. What is a good bug repellent? Flamethrower, bug zapper, having animals around you so they'll go to them instead of you. I don't know. Bring your wife who's more tastier than you because she gets bit like crazy. Japan is much more about the rules, writes Nashabran, and he's very right. What was the issue with the other YouTuber? I'm not going to get into it, but we're all friends here. It's all good. Mutual respect for hardworking people. When are you doing the next live stream? Probably tomorrow. June is a month. I got to get this channel. I had to take a lot of time off because we had a family member that was sick. I kind of explained this to you. It's not about the birth of Leo. These aren't excuses anymore. But family is extremely important to me, and I think that comes before doing this. There's also the state of emergency, which has made it extremely hard to get access to places. YouTubers are still out there creating, though. I understand this, but I'm under a microscope, maybe a little bit more than other people. I have sponsors that I'm working with that I understand their reputation and their risks. I have a big trip coming with JNTO next on the 22nd of June after the state of emergency. I'll be helping them out with a project. So I don't want to get sick for them, and I want to make sure that I do everything the right way. And this is how I can keep my good relationship with the people that I work with. I can give up making content for a couple of weeks if that means a stronger future and stronger content in the future. Access is about, it's all about access and bringing you some really special stories. So that's the situation. So May was a very tough month for me and the family, and we're doing a lot better now, and I'm getting out more to make those episodes in June. I want this channel to be strong for the Olympics because I'm going to be using Only in Japan Go to take you around the city of Tokyo. I am your eyes and your legs to go around to the venues, and I want to show you a different point of view than NBC and the other channels are going to be doing. They'll be inside. We all know the stories are outside, right? So all of the stories, the street food, like whatever's outside the venues, I'm gonna bring you these amazing stories, and I hope that you do subscribe to Only in Japan Go and the new Only in Japan channel, because I'm gonna make those episodes, bring them to you live. Trying to use the 5G, maybe getting it in 4K. I've got the 5G plan already out. Docomo is rolling this out like crazy right now, so we should have pretty good live streams, good audio. I'm gonna do a really good job. Maybe some studio live streams where I take my laptop with me and live stream with the venue behind me. Ask some people to come with me to talk about it. Get the Discord live chat into it and take some phone calls. I want it to be very interactive and valuable to you as a viewer, because this is what this channel was made for like events like the Olympics and bringing you closer to Japan. That's what I want to do. Thank you for the Twitter. Nightbot, thank you for sharing the Twitter link. I think we just got like 300 new Twitter followers during this, which is awesome. How about a trip to Mount Takao? That's in the books. Mount Takao is the most hiked mountain in the world. Just put it mildly. It's also the most boring hike in the world. Thanks for suggesting that. Yes, I've heard of Mr. Ishida, and I've been in contact. So he's a nice guy. I've been in contact with a lot of YouTubers. Saya M.O. and for John Maintenance. Yes. Thanks for the useful update. Thank you, Mario U Comics. Thanks for following me on Twitter. That's very cool. Twitter handles Only in Japan TV. I'll be using that a lot more with the Olympics coming up and giving you travel updates through Twitter and Discord, as well as Instagram. We just passed 80,000 followers on Instagram. That's a lot less than some other YouTubers, but it's a lot more than a lot of people. So I'm very grateful for everybody who follows me on social media, and I try to make sure I give you stuff that's useful that you can learn from. Frank Watts, it's nice to see you, Frank. If tourists came with proof of having the vaccine shots, could they do a quick COVID test and eliminate the 14-day? Frank, they're working that out right now. It's hard to, I can't give you that information right now, but according to the, and Albert Welcome is a new insider. Thank you, Albert. According to the Prime Minister yesterday, OU Cute is following me. Oh, that's cute. According to the Prime Minister yesterday, and Alec Warwick, thank you for following me on Twitter, the procedures are being considered right now, including a vaccine certificate. Because how do you prove that you've gotten that vaccine? How do you prove that you are vaccinated? Is it by your word, right? I don't think the government of Japan's going to take your word that you just come in and say, "Oh, I've been vaccinated. This is look at the injection marks all up and down my arm." You're probably going to get deported. So, udon. It depends. Thanks so much for the questions. It was very colorful. That was a lot of fun. Toro Poco, if it looks hot, please, guy, get some ice cream. It's good. Kerr Liang, thanks for following me on Twitter. Saya M, thank you. I appreciate it. Amazon boxes, more show up, John. They did. I got a samurai sword umbrella. So big shout out to Katayama. Thank you for that. I had this, now I have 2 of them. Thank you, Katayama. One for Kanai. One for Kanai. Was a lot as well. Maybe I'll do another Q&A just for random questions later on. I do that twice a month for Patreon supporters, by the way. Oh, do you want to see the postcard for this month? I can show you that. Talk to Okapi for a minute. Just Leo's asleep, so Kanai said to keep it down. This is the postcard for this month, all right? And on the back of it, I don't want to show you all of it, but there's a picture of Kanai in a bikini. But this is Kanai and I at an onsen in Nijima, which is an island in Tokyo. You can sit in the hot onsen, hot spring waters, looking out over the ocean. It's free. This is a free onsen on the island. A 2-hour jet foil ride from the city of Tokyo gets you to the island in the middle of the Pacific. So this is the postcard for this month. You can put it on your refrigerator. I think it came out pretty nicely. But that's hot water that we're sitting in. And that's the Pacific Ocean. So if you do sign up, it helps us support the channel, and I really do appreciate it. If you want the bikini card, just go to Patreon. All right, I made the photo kind of, it's not a big photo, but it's there. All right, thanks. Thank you, Ronald. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe, and I'll be back tomorrow for another live stream. I don't think I'm going to be doing another fireside chat, but I might do a fireside chat tomorrow after the live stream to take some of your questions on travel to Japan. This is something that we have, like Clubhouse, inside of the Discord server, where you can ask questions like a show. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for the new members, Max Walker. Who else is in here? Rebecca S. Thank you. I appreciate it.